welcome back to the From the Farmyard podcast. And today we are going to be talking about a very important topic of how to build affordable garden beds. So we'll be going over what we use and there's a few different options that for me, things that I've heard that you can use or that I've seen used really creatively. So yeah, let's jump right in.
I think that this episode was suggested by a viewer.
Yes.
I think this one was. So obviously, if you have anything that you would like to hear us talk about on the podcast, if you want to learn something, let us know and we'll do a video on it. But this episode is going to be kind of helpful because I feel like a lot of people wanting to start gardens, they want to do it more on the affordable end of things. Obviously, when you're growing your own food, your purpose of doing that is to have it be a little bit more cost efficient than what you're getting at the store. Also,
Yeah.
to not be having it grown the way you want it to be grown and not the way the other farms would grow it. So obviously, we want to do this a more cost efficient way. And if you know us, we're all about efficiency. So we got a couple ways that we've made garden beds. And we're gonna talk about that today. But Zach has a lot of different ways that he does his gardens. He's got a lot of different types of beds. Now, for us, it's like we'll do mounds and then we'll put like weed barrier around it all, and that's like our main garden. We've done wooden beds, we've done like just stuff like that, but majority of the time we'll just take scraps of things. And that's a huge thing with this, taking scraps of things and just using it to the best of its ability. Whether it's scrap wood from a chicken coop that you were building, or maybe it's a type of metal that you can just put into the ground and it's a garden bed. You know, whatever it is, that if you have stuff lying around, you don't want that to go to waste. Definitely recommend using any scrap material that is just sitting there and has no purpose. Just use it for something. And that can be a lot of things, not only a garden bed, but it could also be, maybe you could build a chicken coop, a chicken tractor, you know, whatever it is. We build a hot box, and we'll go into detail on that. I want to do a video just talking about the hot box and what it is. Um, it's basically just like a little solar panel room type thing, just a little box. We call it our hot box, and we made it out of, I think it was like leftover siding from something like siding. It was like thicker. It was definitely, I think it was insulated siding that you can, if that's a thing. I don't really know. I think it was siding though, insulated siding, something like that. We had it left over from a project and we just slapped it into a box, put some leftover windows from something and made that into the roof, and it's just cool. So I think the one thing you're going to get from this episode, the biggest thing, is taking scraps and using it efficiently.
Yeah.
But we'll
Using the
let Zach talk
unconventional
about,
thing.
yeah. So we'll let you talk about like all that you do, because you do a lot more than I do. So if you want to go over the things you do.
Okay, there's three things I want to touch on beforehand. Um, like Reagan said, using what you have, but we have kind of embarrassing. We were going to the dump one day and somebody had this big load of wood in the back of their truck from taking something. And we were like, that's a lot of wood and it's really expensive. So we were like, can we like transfer everything to our trailer? And they were like, yeah, why not? That's what we did. All my T-posts that are used in my garden are from that. The wood that I've used for chicken coop stuff, for garden beds or trellises have been from that. Are they the best? No, but they work. It doesn't need to be the best. Another thing that I would recommend is if you have well, we have it here. I'm not going to say the area, but it's like my area, and then it's the buy nothing group or something like that. And it's like people just trading stuff or people getting rid of stuff. And they're like free pickup or something like this any days. And it's on Facebook. You can like look different things up and see if it's like your area and like buy nothing or trading or something like that. I found some stuff on there. I've just like scrolled through a bunch and people have done so many things like old playhouses. They've turned into like a small chicken coop for just a few hens, which is really nice if you're just wanting to start out and it's
Mm-hmm.
free as whatever, but it's a lot cheaper than going out and buying a coop or building a coop when it's already mainly established. Um, Third thing is you can use, if you live near woods, go out and get big sticks, tie them together with twine or anything, and you can build sides out of that, a decent side, and you can put weed barrier around it and it'll hold the dirt and the water will still be able to go through. Or bamboo. I've seen people use bamboo. There's so many different things you can use. But nothing that I've tried, but I've seen people do bamboo and sticks. But one of the things that I've used are kiddie pools. They're fairly affordable. We bought all of ours new, but you can, like, at the end of the year, end of the summer, you can be like, does anybody have any kiddie pools that you're not using? Like, just put it on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. Be like, if anybody has any kiddie pools, then that you are getting rid of that have holes or anything, you can use those because you don't care if it's a hole in it. You're going to be poking holes in it anyways for drainage. So that is a free option. You're using it and you're just paying for the dirt and seeds at that point. Another thing that I've used with my great grandparents' garden is we didn't want, it was right in the middle of 2020. It was 2021, but wood was still expensive. It still is. I was looking last night, trust me. Expensive, and we were like, what can we use here? Because we're not going to go out and spend a bunch of money where we're spending way more for this garden instead of low cost and high production. And this is fully my great grandfather. He went into the shed and found tiles, kitchen tiles or bathroom floor tiles. And what I did was I literally just took a shovel in the ground, moved it back and forth a little bit to where the tile could go like this far down or halfway, a fourth or halfway, and stuck it in the ground, closed the dirt around it, put weed barrier down on the inside, and that's held up for 2 years. And tiles haven't moved a single bit, and it's grown a lot of food. So it's very, very efficient in that way. And there was old tiles that you weren't going to use. Does it look the prettiest? No, but you can. Oh, I've had so many issues with this. You can get white tiles and you can like paint individual ones or do like a whole scene or something if you want, if you're creative, or any sort of way. You can use pavers. You can use
Right.
so many different things. It's not just
Right.
that. Pavers are a little thicker, but use what you have. My 4 larger beds, well, larger, the ones that I do my arch trellis on and my tomato beds, we were gonna raise our garage up, which crazy thought, I know, but we were gonna raise it and put like an upstairs living area up there. We never ended up doing that because the garage just can't. It's old. It cannot go through that without completely tearing it down and rebuilding it. So we were like, okay, we have like 500 of these boards. It wasn't that many, but it's a lot. We were like, let's use them. So we used them, and this is actually what my tripod's on. These boards right here. Don't know size or dimension, but we used them, and I did 3 thick and um, stacked them like this, so that like a step, like a ladder. And if you've seen my beds, and they look very good, and they are thick, so they're not just like rot on you really quickly. And it was using what we had. So things like that. But you can use. I've seen people use old Tupperware. You can get, if you want to do a bucket garden. Chick-fil-A, you do need to talk to people, but the people at Chick-fil-A will give you their buckets for free if you just like go up there. I think it's like 2 or 3 times a week to get the buckets, and they'll save them all for you. It does take a while to get to the number of buckets that you might need, but starting now or like in the winter, or using that as, like, I use those for potatoes now, which is, I used to be exclusive bucket gardener, and now that I have my raised beds, I use them for root vegetables and some flowers towards the end of the year. And yeah, it's just a very good way to showcase different things. So I like the free option of going to get the buckets and things because they're not using them and they're just going to the trash anyways. So repurposing something. And when you're doing the buckets, make sure they're food grade, or if they're not food grade, make sure they're brand new or have had nothing in them. Because somebody gave me buckets one time and they were like, we've had paint and something else in there. And I was like, yeah, I'm not using I said, yeah, I'll take it. It went away real quick. It was right. It stayed here for literally 5 minutes while we got stuff in the car and we went right to the dump because I don't want that in my food. I don't want anything like that. But yeah, you can use so many different things. But so be creative, and you're gonna find an option that you probably didn't think you could use. Use it. If you're cutting down a tree, this is a really good option. If you're clearing land and cutting down a tree, look at sticks that you can use and do it like that. I've already talked about sticks, but I mean that it's a free option and you're already cutting down the tree, so it's already repurposing that. Or you can, if you're good with the chainsaw, you can try to cut certain pieces how you want them, or just use really big logs from the tree if it's a massive tree. But yeah. What do you do? I've talked a lot.
No. I talked a little bit about it. That's why I like to have these two different sides of it, because Zach does this on a much smaller scale than I do. I have a lot more land than he does, and we're very fortunate with that, to have that amount of land and to have that ability to have 3-4 different gardens on our property. We're very fortunate with that. Zachary does not have that availability, so he's gardening on a more small scale. So, I mean, for all of you who are gardening on larger scales, like me, let's say there's a lot of people who are gardening on a lot larger scales than me, or those who are gardening on smaller scales in more urban areas where the space is just not available. These episodes are really, really awesome for you guys as well, because you're seeing so many different sides of this. We've talked about gardening. We talked about container gardening before. And if you just have a patio, bucket gardening is like, it's awesome. It's cool. And just having that ability to go to a Chick-fil-A possibly and get buckets for free, like this is cool stuff that I think is definitely very helpful information. But yeah, you did not talk too much on. I wanted you to talk more because you're the one who's doing it on more of an affordable scale than I am.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, a lot of our stuff, we're very fortunate that my dad works in construction. So scraps and leftovers from a job, they'll go to the dump, or they'll come home
You
with
can go
us.
to a construction site even. I've heard of people going to get different construction sites and being like, whatever you guys don't need or scraps of things, could I possibly get those? And more than
Right.
likely they're going to say, come back this day or
Right.
later each night and do that. And you're going to spend a little bit of time doing that, but you're going to get those resources a lot cheaper than what you're going to buy them from the store.
Exactly.
My 7 by 5 foot beds, we got four 12-foot boards, and it was expensive, y'all. Like and that was like 2020, middle of everything. But yeah, very expensive. But instead of buying separately with 4 5 foot and 4 7 foot, we bought the longer 12. And Home Depot will cut them for you. Lowe's will not. I have problems with Lowe's, just so y'all know. But Home Depot will cut them for you, or if you know somebody who is willing to do it, or if you feel comfortable cutting it yourself, go for it. The worst case scenario, you're going to be off by a few inches or whatever. That's fine. It's gardening. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Right. And I want to touch on that as well. You see all these gardens on social media that are just beautiful and perfect. It's not, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect your first time. It may not be perfect further down the road. But you know what? It's what works best for you and what works best for your space. Our
And
gardens
if
are
you find
not
joy in it,
beautiful. Yeah, our gardens are not anything beautiful, but I like them. I like
exactly.
them. I think they're beautiful in their own way. They're not like those massive, just botanical, beautiful, just lusciousness. No, it's not that. It ain't that. It's scraps from a construction site that we were able to get. It's using what we had and, making it efficient, and it was affordable, and just to have that, it's not going to look like that, but heck, it looks good coming out of my wallet because it's not what it could have been. It's not what
Yeah.
it could have been. So, it's not going to be perfect, and it's not going to look like everybody else's gardens, but it's going to be efficient, and it's going to be good in your eyes because it works best for you and it works best for your space. So, with
Exactly.
this
And
affordable garden beds, it's like, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, you go. No, no.
Go ahead. I don't know where that thought was going. Go ahead. It died.
What I would recommend with this, and if you're watching like every consecutive week, you're getting a few weeks ago, I can't remember if it was last week or however many. We're filming this well in advance. But take all, like, Reagan does leaves. She piles those on top, and then she'll put compost on top, or she'll dig down into the leaves. Use all of these. We're not putting them all into one video, like a long video for you to use them and sit through a longer video. We're giving you different ideas from different smaller videos on said topics.
Mhm.
Use leaves. Make compost if you have chickens. Our episode with Molly, I believe, talked about that, using the compost for the gardens, and then any extra from the garden goes to chickens to make more compost and more eggs. And that is permaculture, very much so.
Mhm.
So use all of these ideas together. You're using sticks, you're using other things. Yeah, you're probably going to need to get more sticks because they're going to rot in the road. But that's buying you a few years to where you can either
Right.
save up money over time to get another, or to build, or to buy more material, or just redo the whole thing with more sticks. Something like that. Yes.
Talking about
Sorry.
sticks, I have a bed in my flower garden. It's my Morning Glory TP trellis. So, and I built it completely out of sticks and twine around it. So with the sticks, I made a bed because I had to make it a round shape. And I was like, how the heck am I supposed to do that with wood? I could have done it. I didn't want to do all the math and precise cuttings because I'm not smart enough for that.
Me either.
So I just went into the woods and I practiced. I work with a lot of like sticks. Whenever I was like younger, I built a lot of like little forts in the woods and stuff. So I know these different types of sticks and like what works best. I don't know what type of tree it is. I just say, huh, that tree works good. I remember what it looks like. I don't know what kind of tree it is. It smells good. I remember that much. I think it. I honestly don't know. Anyway, but I went around different trees and I'd cut them down and then I'd bend them and I'd bend them. And if the trees would bust, like I'd know that doesn't really work. I find that if you're bending them, because I had to make a circle, I needed sticks that would bend. I needed green saplings. So the younger ones, those are going to bend better. Now over time, obviously because I cut them down, they're going to die through, but they're dying in the shape that I wove them. So what I did was I took stakes and I put stakes in a circle. And then from that, I'd weave the sticks all the way around, and I was able to create a short bed. It's not tall. It's not tall at all, but it was enough for my Morning Glories to take root this summer, and they did awesome. So with that in mind, you can use sticks. Just find the right sticks. You can weave them. You can I think it's called a let me look it up to make sure.
You can also do trellises with sticks. So if you want to go completely, Reagan's done this with her
there it is.
Morning Glories as well. She made the teepee out of sticks. But you can do everything out of sticks and it still looks visually pleasing.
Yeah.
Visually pleasing. Like if you go to a park, or you have trees in your yard, or you back up to woods, go out and just take a walk, or go out to a park and just walk.
Yep.
and pick up sticks and look like the crazy person.
Hmm.
But everybody else is crazy because they're not doing that. Just so
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah. So it's called a wattle garden. That's the type of garden it is. Look it up on Pinterest. There's a lot of it's like a DIY wattle garden, like wattle fence, like, and what it is literally just making stuff out of sticks, whether it's weaving or it could be stacking. You could take just two sticks, and then in between those two sticks you have wood laying down flat
Yep.
and having them stuck together. And I've done that quite a few times. You can make a whole fence. You could make, I mean, the possibilities are endless. So, if you're interested in that, look up Wattle Gardens DIY or Gardens Out of Sticks. There's a lot of options on that. People want to do
Exactly.
this affordably, and they want to do it so it's the most efficient that it can be. And there's a lot of options out there. And if you're here looking for affordable garden bed options, um, we hope that this video just inspires you a little bit, and it teaches you, like, man, I was thinking that I was gonna have to go to Lowe's and spend like $500 on wood for this big garden that I want, and not including fencing. If you have deer problems, fencing
Yeah.
gets expensive too. So, you know, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe that I need to spend more on fencing, so maybe I could make my garden beds a little bit more affordable because I do
Yeah.
have to pay out for fencing to keep predators out. Or you can make fence out of sticks. Yeah, whatever
Yeah.
whatever works for you, and whatever's going to be the most efficient and the best bang for your buck. That's why we're here. We're here to inspire you and educate you and just to help you out. So if you guys have any questions or you want to know a bit more about the type of beds we do, I think we should do a blog post on this because I think this
We
would be
should.
super helpful, taking pictures of all the types of beds we do. So we'll have that. We might have that up by then. So if you're
And we'll link it
interested,
in the description.
yeah, yeah. Everything is linked in the description. So if you want to check out all our stuff, it's all at the bottom. But like we said, if you do have any questions or anything that you want to learn about, leave it in the comments. We'd be happy to talk to you about it or even do a video on it if it's something we feel needs to be talked about.
Right.
But do you have anything else you want to add?
I've mentioned this before, but compost, if you're looking to buy it affordably instead of going and getting it from the store, which can get quite expensive, we filled up one of the 5x7s and it cost over $200. And it wasn't even completely filled up where it needed to be for a lot of stuff. And we found the place. It's called Mulch Unlimited where I am. But look around for different landscaping places and just like compare prices and see where it's cheaper. I would look for mushroom compost or leaf compost. That's just the two that I would use, and I would use or mushroom compost if you're doing um, tomatoes or corn. Anything that's a heavy feeder needs that extra nutrition, unless you're gonna sit there and try to amend the soil, which is a good practice to do as well. But yeah, it's definitely something that you can do, and I would urge you to look into cheaper options for soil as well. Because, like Reagan said, if you're looking to spend more on fencing, like having a higher end fence
Mm-hmm.
for deer or whatever, then you're going to want to cut costs a little bit on that. Unless you have the money to go out and spend a lot on everything, more power to you. Or if you want to do that, whatever. But this is for the people who are really wanting to not cut corners, but find something more affordable. So
Exactly. And I think throughout this whole episode, throughout a lot of our episodes, we intertwined the permaculture plan and the idea with that because it is huge. And so if you are looking into gardening the next coming spring and you want to start a garden, or maybe you want to build more gardens, but you just don't have the money, and maybe you don't have the space. We hope that this episode helps you out and that it teaches you, like, there's more to gardening and gardening beds than what you see on social media. There's a lot more to it.
exactly.
And it's really about being creative in your space and doing what works best for you, because maybe you'll come up with an idea that's actually like super duper smart, and then you put that
And
on
change
social
the way
media.
gardening is forever.
Then you put that
Change
on
the whole
social
course.
media, and maybe there's somebody else that's just like you and needed to see that just to say, hey, there is hope for my space. There is hope for the area that I have. When I thought that there was nothing left that I could do with this area, they see what you're doing, and they're like, it inspires them. And so that's what we hope to do for you. So with this episode, we hope you learned something. And again, if you have any questions, leave it in the comments. But yeah, get out and garden this year, y'all. There's lots of ways you can do it, and there's lots of possibilities, and we want to see your gardens too. So
yeah, and ask questions if you have questions.
Exactly.
Don't be afraid to ask them.
We're here to help. We're here to teach. We want you to grow, because we're growing in the process as well. So,
exactly.
Thanks for watching, y'all. We'll see y'all.
Bye, y'all.